And welcome to Glacially Musical's YouTube channel, the Vinyloscopy Live, or recorded, however you want to look at it. As the world is changing, actually the world changed 5 years ago, so I have chosen to finally change with it and do videos with musicians. Today we have from, I believe, the fabled Canada's, Herr Nox. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Doing great. Yeah.
Tell me about what you've got going on right now before we get into our records that have nothing to do with either of us.
I'm a goth metaler from Canada, and I just released my latest album, which is called Where Shadows Fade. I've got a couple of guests on there, like Lindsay Schoolcraft, formerly from Cradle of Filth, and she's now with her own project, her own supergroup, which is Antiqua, and I also had Jürgen Munkeby from Shining, which is a Norwegian band. They make like some black metal jazzy stuff, and it's really out there, but really a great band. And on my album, there's a lot of experimentation, and but I think there's something for everyone on there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I saw a couple of your videos, looked spectacular. It was nice to see, for lack of a better word, and I don't mean this, and I mean this very complimentary, in the pageantry of the music, which sometimes we lose. And I thought even though they were just somewhat performance videos, looked spectacular, amazing looks and videos.
Well, thank you very much.
Where can people pick up your latest album, and on what formats?
It's on vinyl, obviously, and that's the only physical medium on which you can get it. And it's available on Bandcamp only, and it's a golden colored vinyl, and it's hand numbered and limited edition also. So it's really for collectors.
Very cool. You might want to look behind you a little bit to see what's going on back there.
Yeah, I see my cat. She's right there on a vinyl.
Yeah. My cat's. I don't know if you can see to the top of this. This is 4 high.
Mm-hmm.
Now my cats can now get to the top of it.
Yeah.
Which is completely not cool. So what is your Bandcamp address? And I'll put a link on this as well.
It's Herr Nox at bandcamp.com.
And that is HERRNOX?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, cool. If my hair's popping out, I'm sorry. I haven't had a haircut in a year. But let's talk about some cool records. For me, the live album has always been my favorite, I think largely because the first music I ever owned was a live album. So what I picked today, because I could pick the same album over and over and over, but I'm probably going to do live albums a lot. So I'm going to start with John 5 and the Creatures, It's Alive. It was the first thing that John 5 ever released on vinyl, and I was very excited to get it. What did you pick for us today, and why?
Well, I cheated a bit. It's not entirely a live album. It's an EP from the Plasmatics. It's called Metal Priestess, sorry. And there are 2 live songs on that EP, Sex Junkie and Master Plan. And I mean, Wendy O. Williams was really a badass, and I think it really showed on the live shows. And I mean, she was really awesome. So yeah.
She did an album with Gene Simmons producing, featuring Vinnie Vincent, Bruce Kulick, and Ace Frehley all over it.
Yeah.
It was actually just re-released. I had it in my hands yesterday, but I didn't want to pay for it, so I didn't buy it. I bought actually the next album that I'm gonna pop up when we get to talking about that. So the next album we're going to talk about is, what is a rare album that you are proud of or happy to have? This one was actually mine, DRI 4 of a Kind. I got this yesterday. I had it on cassette back in high school. I don't think I even ever had it on CD. It came out in 1988. DRI was a crossover thrash band. There's a record store who's about, their entire store is about the size of the room I am in, and they have probably the best selection of metal and hard rock in the entire city, which means they're high priced. And they had this, the last time I was there, they had it on the shelf. and I went back yesterday hoping it was there, and it still was. They ended up knocking a couple of bucks off for me, which was nice. But that album was, when I started buying my own music, that was a formative album for me. And I still think about a lot of those songs. And unfortunately, a lot of those songs are still very relevant today. So I had to pick that one up.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah. To be perfectly honest, I don't. I know the band, but I never listened to them. So maybe if you have one album that you should that you would recommend me to start
To be
with.
perfectly honest with you, I've only heard 2 of their albums. I'm not a big fan.
Okay.
I have that one, and I have this one, live at CBGB's, back when they were just a punk band. And I got that just because I came across it at a store. It was like $5 or $6, so I bought it. But for me, it's Four of a Kind. Four of a Kind is like this album. It's just straight punk. It's got about 40 songs on it. They're all 38 seconds long. On this one, it's got 10 songs on it, and they're mostly like 5 minutes long. So I would recommend Four of a Kind. It's just an album that I really, really love. And I've actually decided to explore their catalog a little bit more now that I'm a little older and I can have the internet and I can get it.
Cool. As for myself, I couldn't really pick one album, so I chose 2. I have here an album from. I don't actually know where they're from, but the band is Person, Purson, and the name of the album is The Circle and the Blue Door, and it's a kind of a gothic psychedelic folk album, and it's really they're really amazing. And I think they only have 2 albums, and this is one of them, and it's really a rare album. I found it on Discogs, and I bought it there. It was over $100, and but it was so rare, and I just couldn't resist. And
I have dropped $100 on a couple of different records, and I only barely regret it.
Yeah, exactly, because I mean the album is awesome, and also I checked how it was last night, and I think it's now selling for $200. So I mean it's a good deal, I guess. So I'm lucky I got it at 100. Yeah.
When did that album come out?
It's maybe a couple of years ago. Maybe
recent.
Check. It's and there's not the year. It's from the 2000, probably 10 or around this. And I really recommend the song "The Contract," which is on YouTube. And I mean, if you don't like that bass riff, I don't know what to tell you. It's amazing.
I was curious because I was talking to the guy at the store yesterday when I picked up my DRI record, and it came out at the time where in the States the vinyl industry was dying. In 1985, cassettes were about the same were the same price as LPs for the first time, and from that point, LPs just started going away. And then in the late 80s, the CD came in. So DRI, this album had one pressing. It did one pressing in the States, one pressing in Europe, and that's it. And then a couple of years after that, you've got, like Motley Crue's Self-Titled is one of my holy grail albums, but that thing costs like $300.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I'm ready to drop $300 on an album that I don't even know if it sounds any good, because that era of pressings were mostly for novelty, not for quality. So you get up to 88, 89, they're still sounding okay. Like today I bought on Discogs, because I found somebody selling it for half market value. I bought a copy of Ace Frehley's Trouble Walkin', an original pressing. But again, it only had one pressing, so any black one you see is an original press. But I know that'll sound okay, but when I think about that Motley Crue record, it probably sounds like crap.
Yeah.
And costs $300. So I don't have one. I would hate to drop that kind of money on something and it not sound good. And that's actually a good segue, because going into what album is probably the most special to you, mine is this one. It is the Coverdale and Page self-titled LP. Came out in 1993, I believe. It's either 92 or 93. I don't remember for sure. So it came out at a time when we weren't pressing anything on vinyl in the States. So my copy is, if you look really closely, you can see it's Brazilian.
Yeah.
So the whole thing's in Portuguese. And it is a 60-minute record that they squeezed onto one LP. So it lacks a little bit of the bass. This one was very expensive. This is one of my 2 albums that I spent $100 on. But what makes it special isn't that. This album is the result of my Father's Day present. A couple of years ago, my wife and daughter gave me a coupon for Father's Day that said, you can buy any single record regardless of the price and no one will complain about it.
That's cool.
I regret that now. I should have picked them out of the Crew album, but I blanked. So,
well, it's a great gift. As for myself, my special album, I think it's kind of cheesy to say it is, but it's my latest album, and really because so much work has been put into it, and I mean it took like 2.5 years to make, and it's a solo effort. So and also I did all the mixing and the producing myself. So it's
very
like
nice.
it's really my baby, and I mean,
so it's the most solo of solo records.
Yeah, and just also the color. I mean, it's like golden, and
that's gorgeous. That is gorgeous.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I wasn't really keen on colored and splattered albums and all that stuff because I always read that it was that the sound quality was lower and was not as good as black vinyl. But I mean, nowadays with the technology they have, they can make like and also it's a new pressing plant in Quebec City, the city I'm from, and yeah, and they made it there, and it was really like a work of passion, and I mean, it sounds amazing, and I'm really happy with it. Yeah.
I can't. What does it feel like? Because I mean, how many albums do you have before this one? I'm assuming this isn't your first.
This is my second album. I released my first. Yeah, my first one. Like? I released it.
I'm sorry. What's it like to just hold your music on vinyl in 2021? I can't even imagine.
I mean, it's really amazing because I kind of sold all my CD collection like a few years ago because I wasn't listening to them anymore. I mean, if I want portability, I'll just listen on Bandcamp or grab an MP3. But if I want to really have a deep listening experience, I'll take a vinyl and I'll just sit in front of the turntable and enjoy the music, like sit there for a 45 minute and just enjoy the album throughout. So and having my own album, like to be able to have this kind of ceremonial stuff going on with my own album was really like the cherry on top. I mean, it was really amazing. Yeah,
that's really cool. I'm the same way when it comes to listening to music. I haven't sold off all of my CDs, but I'm working on it. Sold a bunch on. I did eBay for a while last year, and I don't recommend ever doing that. I'm never doing that again.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I had probably 800-900 CDs that I've been slowly getting rid of, and but I mean, if you look behind me, this is when I'm ready to sit down and listen to music. This is what I do. I pull something off the shelf. I've got a 1975 turntable. I've got a 1971 receiver, and I've got 1967 speakers. But also a 2021 head shell and cartridge. So I did upgrade that, but it is the listening experience that I prefer, and it's got to be just an amazing feeling to be able to listen to your own music on vinyl and know that somebody else out there is having that experience with something you created.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing, and just hearing the little pop when you put on the needle, and I mean,
The Q-burn.
it's just like it's so cool. Yeah.
Very cool. Moving on to the next one is the first record you ever bought. My story is mine is Crowbot, the Crowbot EP, which they were selling it for $10. I was actually covering the show for Kill Devil Hill. They were opening for Kill Devil Hill on that tour, and I only had $5 left. So I walked up to the merch booth and I said, "Hey, I've only got $5. How can I get your EP?" They're like, "It's 10. I got 5." And he goes, "Here you go." And he hands it to me. And I noticed that when he handed it to me, the CD was really big. So I looked at it and went, "Oh, crap. I just bought a record and I don't have a record player." It did have a download code. So, I mean, that worked out. And I walked it out to the car and went, "What the hell am I going to do with this?" And that was the first one I bought.
Oh, that's amazing. And I mean, usually at gigs, artists will like, you can practically bargain the price. I mean, they just want to share the music. So, I mean, it's not rare that you'll find albums at a certain price. They're like, I mean, it's $10, but if you say I only have $8, they'll let you go with it because
And
they
I
just
don't-
want to share.
I know, and I don't normally do that because I hate doing
Mhm.
that. But I wanted it, and I'm like, I only got $5, and
Mhm.
I didn't know it was a record. If I'd known it was a record, I wouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
I assumed it was a CD.
As for myself, the first album I ever bought was a Skinny Puppy Myth Maker, and this album, I mean, I didn't have a turntable back then. It was in 2007, and I really never thought I would ever get a turntable. I mean, it was like so. To me, I mean, before I even got into vinyl, I always thought it was like such a. I mean, I was still in buying CDs, and that was still the thing to do with music. And nobody was talking about vinyls. Nobody really cared about it. And it was in the store. And I mean, I'm a big fan of Skinny Puppy, and I love their stuff. And I just love the artwork, so I just bought it because just to display it in my room. And that's the first one. And the first time I ever listened to it was back in what was it, 2017, when I got my first turntable.
That's
And
awesome.
that was the first album I put, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" And that's like the gateway drug to buying, like selling my old CD collection and buying a whole lot of vinyls. And I mean, that was like, and I don't know, it was like finally listening to music the way I used to do when I was a kid. Because when I was a kid, I put on a cassette or CD and just listened to the album in front of the stereo with my headphones. And it had been years since I've done it. So and
The joke always was, is people are saying, I got back into vinyl due to the cost and the inconvenience. And for me,
Mhm.
it's exactly it.
yeah,
It makes my time listening to a record more important. When I hit shuffle on my phone, it doesn't mean anything.
yeah.
When I sit down, pick something, and I actually have to put a physical thing onto the album to make it play, you pay more attention. And yes, it is more expensive now, and I don't care. Whatever, I don't care.
Mhm.
Again, it makes it more valuable to me.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, you can. I mean, if you buy MP3s, okay, that's cool. You support the artist. But I mean, as far as a listener's experience, you're not. I mean, you'll listen to the album maybe like 2, 3 times, and maybe a lot more if you like it. But otherwise, you'll just discard your album and finally find something else to listen to. But if you listen to a vinyl, and for the price you bought it, I mean, you'll be like, I need to make it worth the buy, so I'll just listen to it again and again, and finally you start picking up things that you wouldn't pick up if you were just listening to an album like in the background. And I mean, it makes the experience more valuable too. So
I agree. And one of the things that I saw on YouTube, because during the pandemic, I decided to learn more about this and make it better. And one of the things I saw was that vinyl sounds better now than it did when in the golden days, because now we know how to use the technology better.
Yeah, because I mean, if you had too much bass, you could have your needle jump. But I mean, nowadays the turntables they make it, and I mean it's made for the albums that are coming out now. So I mean they can handle more bass and they can handle like higher volume, but they still maintain some dynamics. So you
That's
get
actually
like
where my turntable gets finicky,
mhm,
because it doesn't stay set up as perfectly for older records as it does in newer ones. So
mhm.
I actually got to change the setup a little bit when I switch between like modern stuff and older stuff. It's irritating, but it sounds good, so I deal with it. But let's go to our last one. For me, most comforting, which this one actually could have been live, special, and comforting because it's something I've listened to for a long time. This pressing is actually one my wife bought me, and she has not purchased many records or been involved in many purchasing because she doesn't like it. And I've also got 2 live versions of it, but it is Pink Floyd, The Wall.
Yeah, that's a classic.
It is. This is the 2014 pressing. Nice gatefold. It's a little noisy, but just a little.
Yeah, I think it was pressed from the original tapes too.
I don't know. I had heard it was done via the digital. I don't know.
Okay.
When I say it's a little noisy, I mean just it's not like perfectly. Like we were listening to Number of the Beast before starting this, and that record, it's an original pressing, and that record is amazing.
Mhm. Yeah, also, and I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but I think it was Bruce Dickinson who said that their albums are never mastered. They just mix it like the best. They put on like the effort you have, the best mix possible, and that's what they print. That's what they press, and they don't even master their album.
Wow.
So what you hear is like even more it's even closer to like the a band playing together. I mean so you don't get like the filter of a mastering that's kind of
Right.
smoothing things out.
I have 3 Iron Maiden studio albums, and they're OG pressings, and they're amazing. They're absolutely
Yeah.
amazing.
Mhm. And as for myself, my comforting album is, well, I'm a huge David Bowie fan, so I picked Hunky Dory. And I mean, I could have picked out like so many albums like Station to Station, Scary Monsters, and I don't know, Ziggy Stardust, but I really love this one because it has like one of my favorite song of his, which is Life on Mars. And I mean, he was like, he still had like some whole rock and rolly and bluesy stuff and folk stuff on that album, but he was like kind of switching into his Ziggy Stardust character. And I mean, so you get like an amazing range of what he can do. So I really love that album, and it's really I just put it on, and I mean I can relax, and it's a great album.
That's The Wall for me, and that's why I've got so many versions of it. There are 4 versions of the album that I'm aware of. I have 3 of them on vinyl, and I've got the other one on MP3 because they haven't released the Pink Floyd live version because Roger and David hate each other.
Yeah.
Well, the part of the divorce for Pink Floyd was that Roger Waters owns The Wall.
Mm-hmm.
That is the only thing he still owns. So anything Pink Floyd does with, like when they released that live album in the early 2000s, Roger said no, but his daughter talked him into it. So they had to get Roger's permission to release it. And he's done 2 live versions of it, the one in Berlin and then one in France from a few years ago. I've got those 2 because I don't even like the one in Berlin, but I bought it like 6 months ago because I found it. And I listened to it. But I mean, it gets boring listening to the same version of the album over and over again. So that's why I have 3. But that is all I have for today for you. Is everybody check out his latest, Herr Nox's latest album. You can get that at herrnox.bandcamp.com. There are plenty of videos on YouTube. I have seen them. They are amazing. And anything else we need to say?
Well, support independent bands because I mean that's the best you can do for music. I mean every other band in the indie scene are like super passionate about it. So just give them all of your money, because I mean they're working their asses off to like create, and they're all passionate. So I mean, instead of I don't know, instead of buying or going on Spotify and trying to I don't know, to listen to all that stuff. That's I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just going on a tangent here, but Spotify, I just hate their platform. I mean, they're just
I
pumping
don't
songs
use
and
it. It's for
Mhm.
me. It's better to because for and I mostly listen to smaller artists. For the smaller artists, it's so hard to get anywhere on
Mhm.
Spotify that it's better. Like I saw one person a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, I forget exactly which, who was doing her taxes, and she said I had 121 Bandcamp purchases last year, 121. So she got 3 purchases a week, whether that's MP3 or CD or vinyl, I don't know. It wasn't an artist I was familiar with. And she
Mhm.
said that those 121 purchases calculated up to 22% of her income. And she had 150,000 or 200,000 Spotify streams, and that equated to 2% of her income.
Mhm.
So one Bandcamp purchase is worth 10,000 Spotify streams.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you're buying, usually when you go on Bandcamp, you're buying directly from the band. So there's no middleman, there's no big company. Like, I mean, even back in the early days with the CDs, a company like, I don't know, like Geffen Records would make like all the money on the CD sales, and there was like a few cents for the artist. So
Yep.
I mean,
25
but
Metallica got 25 cents per copy of the Black Album sold.
yeah, and I mean, if you go on Bandcamp and you buy an album, you're giving like 75% of your money to the artists, and the rest
Exactly.
goes to Bandcamp or something.
Yep.
But I mean, yeah, that's really the best way to support an artist, is go on Bandcamp. Yeah.
Completely agree. I buy quite a bit on Bandcamp. Um, and well, I want to thank you for taking some time going through some records with me, and we will talk soon.
Yeah, that was amazing. Thank you.
And thank you everybody for watching. Catch you next time.